One of our patients should probably be on everything we suggest.
All my freckle girls. People don't experience those types of things until pregnancy, and that hormonal shift brings out that melasma.
Even when you walk out to your car with a UV index of 9.
It looks old. Full-blown tanning bed every day.
No.
Yes.
What would you say to a patient who uses banana boat?
I mean, the people who come to our office, it bothers them. Welcome to Fill and Tell, where we spill the tea on all things aesthetics.
We're your hosts. I'm Megan.
And I'm Lauren.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on what goes on behind the treatment room door.
From filler to facelifts, skincare to aesthetic secrets.
We're taking you behind the scenes of the industry with unfiltered conversations, expert insights, and maybe a little gossip along the way. Just in time for summer, one of our favorite, hottest, hardest topics. Pigment. We're going to talk about how to treat it, why it happens, why it's so stubborn, and really everything in between.
Mm-hmm. And it's a perfect time because it's hot in Florida already.
Every one of our patients should probably be on everything we suggest.
Every single thing because of where we live.
Melasma is super hard to treat. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how lasers play in. Mm-hmm. But
hyperpigmentation, just another form of pigment, and how it's so prevalent where we live. Honestly, Tennessee down,
that UV index when it hits 9, 10, even 7.
I know.
Wreaks havoc on just sort of these pigment producing cells.
Yeah.
I feel like you've seen firsthand how pigment can play a huge role in your skin complexion.
All my freckle girls.
Freckles are genetic.
They are. They do not go away. Sorry to break it to you.
So Lauren struggles with freckles.
Yeah.
And she wants her freckles gone.
I want porcelain skin.
I do too. We all want the glass skin. But your pigment is going to not allow you to have that.
Correct. I know. So yeah, all my freckle girls, you can get them to go away for a little bit. They come back.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the basis of this too, is if you have pigment, be consistent. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't just go away.
So why do we get pigmentation?
So there's these little pigment producing cells in our skin, and whenever you're exposed to heat or inflammation or UV exposure, they sort of get out of whack. Mm-hmm. And so freckles, like we just said, are genetic. They sort of just come. But other signs of pigment like hyperpigmentation, solar elastosis, things of that nature, melasma, they come from this stimulus of heat and UV. So it's sometimes really hard to treat and fix.
Right.
Because again, like we've just said, we live in Florida. And so even when you walk out to your car with a UV index of 9,
right,
and you're heated up,
freaks out and protects itself actually, which is why that hyperpigmentation or that, melanocyte, that's the pigment producing cell, forms, right? It's a protection against the sun.
Yes. And I feel like that's
cool. It is. That's how you get a tan.
Literally, when you are laying out and you get tan, it's basically just your body protecting itself.
Correct.
Which is really cool.
Right.
But it's not cool when last summer I was in the sun a lot because we were loving pickleball. Mm-hmm. And I developed melasma on my upper lip that I still feel is a hint there.
So that's going to be interesting one day, though, when you actually do have a baby and your hormones play a role, mm-hmm. How much worse that gets.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't experience those types of things until pregnancy, and that hormonal shift brings out that melasma. But having it beforehand, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
What happens.
Yeah. So we know that pigment dulls our skin. It doesn't give us that glass skin that we want.
It looks old.
Like Lauren would say, it looks like a leather bag at some point. The sun really damages our skin as a whole. It produces pigment. It makes us look leather. It produces wrinkles.
Which again, okay, so I had a patient the other day come in. I looked at her pictures and in my brain was early 60s. 42.
No.
I was I thought I was, I think I rose from everyone in their grave was turning over.
Yeah.
It was wild to me. I was like, there is no way.
What was it that stood out that made you feel like she was 60?
So tan. Oh my gosh. It was this bronze, very dark. Mm-hmm. And then the skin was so crinkly. I mean, like paper mache.
Yeah.
You know, just like.
Yeah.
Like a raisin. Literally looked like a raisin. And she looked 20 years older. Well,
That's
you know,
so
and I do some digging and I'm just like, what's going on here? Full blown tanning bed every day.
No.
Yes. Still.
What?
And I was like, has anyone told you not to use the tanning bed? Has anyone told you what it does? And she was like, no, like I just enjoy being tan. And I was like, well, if we had a 3D, you know, camera that I could put you in, your true age would be much older than what you are right now because of how tan you look. And the UV is not only causing skin cancer, but it is accelerating your aging so much.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I spent 45 minutes just being like, let's not spend our money on anything other than canceling our tanning bed membership and you'll get a little money back there. And then we got to really like start turning some stuff over with some skincare first.
How did she take that? Was she like...
It was hard.
Okay.
That was a hard conversation to have.
I think that's hard for us as providers, seeing what helps people look younger versus what ages them. And she clearly liked the tanning bed because she feels confident in tan skin. But as someone who is trying to make her look younger, essentially, right? Like, why is she there?
Why else are you there?
Why else would you want Botox?
Yes.
That's really hard.
I know. And so I had this conversation even today, and you know, one of my patients like, I just, you know, don't go in the sun. I'm like, girl, me neither. I'm out there underneath that umbrella with my SPF 50, my visor. I'm dunking myself in the pool when I'm hot, and then I'm back underneath. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, it's not cool to be tan anymore.
And we tell our medical assistant, my medical assistant, Maddie, who just loves to bake in the sun, that when she is 30, our age, she will have a different opinion.
And this is where the Asians have it.
Yes.
They have done it right over in Korea and China. They are very, you know, their color is very like even. It's very even distributed. It's a pale look, but it's very even. Like, they don't have pigmentation.
No. There was actually a study that compared basically people who had wrinkles and people who had pigmentation. They asked people what they thought, like, how young does this person look? They perceived the people who had pigment as older
than the people with wrinkles.
Yes.
Yeah.
That came out of Asia, but, you know, I think that they have it right.
Oh, they do, for sure. They're doing some, you know, voodoo stuff over there in their skincare world because they all look.
They look like porcelain dolls, and I want my skin to look like that.
I know. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Just keep trucking along.
Yeah, I suffer from PIH, or PIE, kind of sort of the same thing. Post-inflammatory erythema, which is just a redness.
Right.
Post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation.
So, like, okay, so I think that's a good point to just say, okay, what are all the types of pigment? We said freckles, melasma.
Hyperpigmentation, just in general.
Just like sunspots from the sun. And then this post-inflammatory that you're talking about, which is what happens after.
Like an acne or
thing.
I feel like any sort of trauma.
Yes.
You know, like an inflammatory response to like a cascade of events.
Like, if you get that pimple and it dries up and it goes away, it still leaves that red mark.
Lucky me.
Oh, yeah. I know, that's something that
I
don't necessarily have as
much. How long has this been here? It's like been weeks.
Yeah.
When you've had the same pimples in the same spots and they're gone.
I know. And that is just like the difference in skin types. I'm really like a very fair person and you're a lot more tan. So that inflammation cascade is just a little bit higher in you, and it makes it to where that comes up. And so I think that's something lots of people struggle with. No matter your age, really, some sort of pigmentation is certainly happening to you, and kind of identifying what that is and then what to do about it so that you can look as young as you are, or maybe even slightly younger.
Yeah. And so that's why I've always been on a pigment inhibitor. pigment inhibitors come in the form of something that everyone knows, like vitamin C serum or kojic acid or hydroquinone or niacinamide.
Yeah.
You know, all of these really great ingredients help to dampen down those melanocytes we talked about, those pigment producing cells that just, it's almost like you're giving a Xanax to your melanocytes. You're telling it to
chill the fuck out
down.
Yes.
Because I don't want you to produce a spot. So,
but before you even get into prevention or like treatment, I think prevention is huge.
I think
and
that's
then
huge.
Obviously get out of the sun. Like we'll put it in like singing form so that it's like clearer for people. I think that's huge. And then obviously sunscreen.
Yes, I forgot that. You know, that's been a huge stepping stone and helping hand in, I think, my complexion, definitely your complexion. I mean, it really wasn't until a few years ago that I truly started wearing sunscreen. Every day. You know, really had it as a part of my life. And then we sort of got into the world of tinted sunscreen, makeup sunscreen, and that's helped so much. I feel like if you just make sunscreen a habit, and you find one that really works for you and you like it, then it just becomes routine.
Right. It's a habit stack. You brush your teeth, you put your sunscreen on. You floss, you put your sunscreen on. You, towel off after the shower. There you go.
Yeah.
And I find it to be very interesting to me still how many people are not doing sunscreen or don't know the benefits of sunscreen or maybe are misinformed on sunscreen. And I think that always becomes a hot topic too.
I think there's a lot of fear mongering around sunscreen.
Right.
If we put it on, is it actually doing more damage than the sun would? Me and Zach had this conversation the other day. You know, he was sort of the argument that I don't want to put a chemical on my body that is going to just cause more damage than the sun would. And I'm of the argument of I use a mineral-based sunscreen on my face, and, you know, zinc oxide and these other mineral sunscreens don't cause, we know that they're not endocrine disruptors. So there's been a lot of data on that.
Right.
There are some chemical-based sunscreen that have been proven to
not be the best.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. And those are certain ingredients within them, but that's my prerogative.
Our FDA is a little lax over here, I feel like. We're still allowed. I mean, we just got rid of Red 40, right? So we are not quite there. I think in the terms of really, really toxic ingredients. And so we've got a lot, and I'm hoping that we continue to make strides in that of like what truly is toxic and what isn't. I have a different perspective when it comes to sunscreen because to me, the sun, unless it's that 10 minutes of morning sunlight at 9 a.m. before the UV is really high, then I don't necessarily think, in my opinion, the UV is better than the chemical. I'd just rather take the chemical and...
Well, I agree. And I think that was sort of what I was saying back to Zach, my boyfriend, was like, I think that the damages that the sun is doing to my skin and producing skin cancer potentially later on in life is just as or can be just as harmful as these chemicals.
Right, I agree.
Or whether it is or isn't, that's just my stance on it. That's just like, your prerogative. You said you would rather protect your skin from the sun.
I am full of endocrine disruptors.
Yeah. To act like I don't drink alcohol and,
wear perfume. I mean, I am a perfume-aholic.
Yes. Everything. I mean, the paint on the walls
and a martini, obviously,
is an endocrine disruptor.
Exactly.
So
I think we just kind of have to decide what.
Pick your poison.
Right. And you could go full mineral. And I think I do choose mineral for my face, mostly because it comes in the form of a tint. And so I like that. It doubles as my makeup. Some of my favorites are Tone Smart SPF by Skin Better. There's Color Science, which I know you love. And then I've been using a new kind of makeup brand. It's called Ciele, Ciele. and I've been loving it. It's really pretty. It's SPF 50.
Yeah, I know. I need
but
to
it looks
try
like
it.
a skin like serum-y tint almost, and so it kind of gives you a little dewy look. Sometimes I'm really like wanting to look wet.
Yeah. So those are really medical grade ones. What would you say to a patient who uses banana boat? How would you go about that? Are you of the
like on your body?
No. What if they're
Face?
just like I use banana boat? Are
Consistently?
Yes.
Then you keep going, girl.
Okay, that's
like,
that's my thought too.
Lather in it.
Whatever you can work in, as long as you're wearing it. But then
that's a little harsh smell for me, to be honest. So like, not gonna be my choice. But I think if you love it, you love to smell like a banana.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, that one is a chemical sunscreen. So that was my question.
And I think that goes back to body. I think body sunscreens are a lot harder because who wants to walk around with a white pasty cast? It's getting on your your swimsuit. It's running down. I mean, it's the definition of water babies from back in the day. So that one's harder for me to get on board with mineral. I have got a new sunscreen that I just ordered from One Skin. You've heard about One Skin, right?
Yes. I sent you that podcast.
That's right.
on it.
And so
Very
it's a really cool brand that actually, it's about senescent cells and zombie cells.
They use a lot of peptides and growth factors.
So it's an SPF 50, I think. I mean, I just got it, so I can't wait to try it. But it's harder with mineral sunscreens, I think, for the body. So just trying to choose wisely when it comes to your body sunscreens, or just accepting that maybe the chemical is not as bad as the sun.
Yeah. Another way to prevent would be to avoid the sun at peak hours.
Yeah. Hat.
To wear a hat, a wide brim. I have told a few of my patients that suffer from melasma to bring around an ice roller. I know that might not be as ideal, but or a little fan. Mm-hmm. I think
a cooler with like a cold towel. I mean, people who play golf or tennis or outdoor sports.
Yeah,
I think that's really super helpful for. Because any heat, it doesn't even have to be that you're in the sun. Any heat is going to really make that pigment.
If your car is parked in the garage and you get into the car and it's 99 degrees out, so your car is 105, that will potentially trigger your melasma.
Yeah. And hats are so cool.
I borrow your hats all the time.
So I just found this new hat brand. I don't know that it's new, but it's Eric Javits.
Tell me more.
Or Jarvis. Okay, I've got to go back and look that up. It's a UPF brim. So it looks like a really cute sun hat, fedora, type style hat that I really love that look. And then it also is UPF 50. So it actually has, of course, the hat itself, that physical protection, but now it has the actual sunscreen repellent kind of protection as well.
Interesting. So that's super cool.
I just bought the visor and... Your
visor for tennis? Mm-hmm. Tennis girly.
LOL. Did you see my story the other night that when I lost my match?
I did. I was cheering from you.
I mean, I think I don't even think I spoke when I walked off. I was so
You're very competitive.
Very competitive. And this girl who, she says she was a 3-0, but I don't believe it. I'm a 3-0. I think she has to be higher. I mean, I did not win one game.
How many games do you play?
So it's best of 6.
Oh, wow.
So, game, set, match. That's how it goes in tennis. So you have best of 6 games, and then you win the set. Then typically you have to win 2 out of, you have to win 2 sets to win the match.
I'm tracking a little bit.
Okay, are you? Mm-hmm. So no games. 0 to 6, 0 to 6.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
0. So,
I thought you were playing doubles.
Well, now I'm playing singles.
Oh, okay.
Because I need a singles player. But I need to get a hat for tennis. That got me back to that. Yeah. So that one has UPF protection in it. And I also got one of their sun hats too. So to wear out by the pool and at the beach. So.
And when you're usually going to tennis, are you doing any reapplication? Because obviously we put on our tinted or whatever, our favorite sunscreen before work, which acts like our makeup. But then I have to reapply.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing that people don't do. I'm not the best at reapplying on a work basis, but anytime I'm about to go back out into the sun, then I'll reapply with the Tone Smart Compact from Skin Better, which I love. And then, or I also have the Brush On Color Science sunscreen as well. And that gives a good kind of reapplication protection.
Yeah, I do that too. When it starts getting pretty hot and I walk Bodhi, I'll try to reapply and put on. Obviously, like, I'm not going to walk around on the Miccosukee Trail with my Freya wide rim hat. Like, you know, I could, but I'll put on my baseball cap. I'll do a reapplication.
Yeah.
I think it also boils down to, the topic is pigment, but it's always if it bothers you. You know, you're going to be consistent if things bother you.
Yeah, but I think that goes against what we do. I mean, the people who come to our office, it bothers them. And if it doesn't, to each their
sometimes, own. You know, I think I struggle with that. Sometimes I have a few melasma patients and, you know, I'll recommend a few different pigment inhibitors, a few different things, like this stack of treatments. And I don't know if it's maybe too, maybe it just doesn't bother them. When I had a hint of melasma this summer, I literally texted you and was like, what is this? I need this off immediately.
Yeah.
But
I think, okay, so once you have pigment, what do we do to treat it? And that's where, you know, we do a lot more work, because prevention is happening, you know, before you get to us typically. And then once you're here, once you're with us, it's really like, okay, you have all this pigment. How are we treating it? Normally, it's always skincare first.
Yeah.
So pigment inhibitors are something basically that quiet, like you said, it's a Xanax for your melanin. They quiet the that pigment producing cell, and they can help to kind of turn it over and get rid of it. Plated is amazing. Okay. Shout out. I love Plated for pigment and for redness and for fine. I mean, like, it's a catch-all serum. But
we'll put up on the screen Lauren's.
Oh, certainly.
I think it was last summer.
Yes.
You had went to the beach for a week. You just had this influx of your freckles come back. All you used was Plated and a pigment inhibitor.
Yes,
and of course sunscreen. Like, we are always including sunscreen.
Yeah, always.
So that was what, like, how many weeks?
3 weeks later, it was almost clear.
Yeah, it was amazing. That was a really cool before and after.
Right. And so I love Plated for pigment, and just to get somebody, like, it packs a big punch. It's basically a treatment in a bottle.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you kind of wanted to explain what exactly
Plated is an exosome. Yeah. Okay. So if you haven't heard us talk about Plated, it's a fantastic product. It's a tiny messenger cell. It comes from a platelet, which is a white blood cell. White blood cells are your first line of defense. So they come in, they attack the injury, and they're trying to heal it. So this exosome is able to do that in a cosmetic kind of way. It's pigment, it's redness, it's fine lines, and it's also collagen stimulating. Yeah. So it kind of gets in there, and it can repair the damage that's been done in these damaged fragmented cells, and just basically repair them. It's Benjamin Button. It's
microneedling in a bottle
backwards.
Yes.
And so the collagen benefits from it is probably the only topical product that can actually stimulate collagen. And it can stimulate collagen up to about 80 to 85%.
And the only FDA approved topical exosome on the market.
Shelf stable. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. It's got 1 trillion exosomes in the bottle, 15 billion per pump. It's pricey, but it's worth it.
It's skin transforming.
Yeah.
And they've seen that photo as we popped it up on the screen. So yeah, Plated is a huge one. Again, things like vitamin C, niacinamide, I've already went through those, kojic acid.
What's a tyrosinase inhibitor? That's one that we talk about a lot. And that's one that we're getting in our Even Tone, our Vivid By the time this episode comes out, Skin Better will have released their new product, which is Even Intense. So it's kind of stepping it up a notch. I'll be interested to see how you do with that.
Yeah, it's for that really, really stubborn pigment.
They've gotten a new, it's called their Brighter technology, where they're putting in some AHA, so some acids, and really just kind of upping the ante on stubborn pigment. So I think that one will be really good.
Very helpful for melasma and the PIH.
I think, though, when it comes to drugstore finds, I don't see a lot out there in the drugstore market that can transform pigment the way that these can.
Because it's all about not only the formulation, but how is that skincare product going to dive into your skin,
right?
And essentially work,
right? Because where the pigment lives, like, this is the epidermis. this is the dermis, like this is the top layer of your skin. Pigment lives in this layer.
The basal layer.
That, it has to be able to get all the way through the epidermis into almost that dermal layer to get to the pigment. A lot of what's out there on the drugstore, world, it doesn't have that same penetration to get through that. It's a lot of surface stuff, which is why it's okay for moisture and, our cleansers and SPF, but you've got to be able to get a lot deeper. So that molecule has to be smaller to get through the skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our splurge ones that we usually always recommend to be medical grade are vitamin C. I try to recommend a medical grade SPF, and then our pigment inhibitors, because we know those are really going to tackle the concern, get to that basal layer, that where the pigment lives. And then from that point on, once we've sort of prepped the skin, once we have you on a prevention routine, we can dive into in-office procedures, lasers, chemical peels.
The fun is. All this other stuff's kind of boring, but like important consistency. It's all about consistency. But then like the office procedures are fun, and you really see a dramatic improvement in these issues.
But I don't think you can expect as transformative of results if you are not on a good skincare regimen. And, sometimes people will sort of come in and just want to hop right into lasers. And I don't think it's safe either, because your skin isn't prepped. Your skin isn't prepped. Your pigment is probably just too dark. A lot of other factors, but we have a few different types of in-office procedures that we like to do for pigment.
Right. So someone in their like early 30s, or 20s, that's just experiencing some of that pigmentation, that early pigment. What are some of the office treatments that you really like for them?
I love a BBL. A BBL Moxie laser is great for both the pigment and the complexion concerns you have, browns, reds, yellows. And then Moxie is a great complement, a top off, a prejuvenation, meaning it's going to help with those little fine lines and wrinkles. It's going to help with some texture concerns.
And so what a BBL really is, it's the light. It's a light-based device that the way to think about lasers and wavelengths is it's got a target. And so a lot of the BBL's target is pigment, is hemoglobin, which is redness. And so it's really picking up on those targets. So if you have a lot of pigment and some redness, that's really where you can get some great results with that BBL. Plus you get the benefit of the Moxie smoothing out the texture too. And
for PIH or melasma, again, these really stubborn skin concerns, you almost need a high quality laser or chemical peels. Like I don't know if skincare will do it alone. No. So that's where we sort of pull out the big guns.
Yes. And be careful. Okay. Also PSA, if you're just listening as a consumer and like going to go to the med spa down the street, just, be aware that if you have melasma, if you are a darker skin type, there is a much higher risk that come with these devices.
Going to someone who knows what they're doing.
Right. I had a patient the other day who has a history of melasma. We're doing her treatment, her BBL, her Moxie. She did great with the first one. Second one, I see her back and she's got this melasma flare. And so, having to work through that. And there are things that could have been done to prevent that. And that's on me. But now now I can make sure that we treat it and get it to go away.
Yeah.
So just being really cognizant if you have melasma or if you are a darker skin type.
That reminds me of what we talked about in episode 2 of like, you can go get a laser or Botox, but if something goes wrong, does that practitioner also know how to deal with the complications?
Right.
I had sort of a similar situation with one of my dear patients who I feel like has become one of my friends. She's our age. We did a CO2 lighter one back in January. She is a brunette, but has lighter eyes. So I treated her as like a Fitz 2, really, maybe a Fitz 3, and she sort of got this rebound pigment. I was like, that's really weird. She's on great skincare. She uses sunscreen. So then we, been treating with that, all that skincare. Just did a BBL, and she also reacted differently than I expected.
Yeah.
And so, again, this is like the hand holding, the after hours. I am happy to talk to her. She is not one of the people that's burning me out, by the way. I want to correct this for her, and
Right.
we are going to, but lasers are no joke, and I'm glad you brought up the darker skin tones, because you can have permanent damage. You can have scarring.
Burns.
I think you posted one time on your Instagram of a
was it the radio
Morpheus
frequency?
8? Yeah. I mean, all of that
Too much
heat.
heat. It's just too much heat. And just making sure that you really are doing your research before, as a consumer that you're listening, you're like, okay, I'm going to get my laser treatment done. And, you know, the Fitzpatrick scale is it's broad. It encompasses a lot, you know, just by looking at you and I. Yes, I'm lighter than you. And then just like background, like what's your background? What did your parents, like what's your cultural like background of your ancestors, and like really just digging deeper to figure out how you're going to react to that. And we learn that day by day. So lasers are fantastic. Chemical peels are a good option too. I personally hate them, but they're a good option.
I break out after them. I don't know why. Like the only thing I don't break out from is a laser.
Yeah.
But I do think that
it's a lot of skin cell turnover, maybe.
Maybe that and microneedling, just they're not my friends.
I mean, it's like a snake. It's shedding. It's peeling. It's long. I don't love it. It's not my cup of tea, but I've seen really good results, and like VI peels are fantastic. You can add them onto like a Botox appointment. It's a great tox booster.
Yep.
I think you just have to find the right ones. And you just have to be okay. I think with
your
some
face
intense peeling because it's pretty intense. So chemical peels, BBL, Moxie, a little Helix fusion can help. I mean, that's not the target necessarily.
I feel like a cool peel can be of use at some point. Sometimes
it makes it nice and like smooth. Yeah. But it definitely does not target pigment. Right. It targets water.
Yeah.
And that's how you get some great resurfacing. But definitely not targeting the pigment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then really like maintenance, keeping up with it. I know for sure that after the summer, I will have a flare in my freckles, in my pigment. And I'll have to really be very diligent with my skincare. And then I'll have to clean it up after the summer with a treatment.
And sometimes that's what we'll recommend. We're like, you know, we all know the Florida sun. I am very honest with my patients. I love a good boat day. You know, we love going to the beach, and you and your family do that week-long
beach trip, and they love the sand. I mean,
I feel like Nicole just loves the sun.
I was just with her, and she was like, I have this one freckle, and it's right here. And I'm like, what about the rest that are on your face? And so she has done one BBL, and
she swelled a lot, right?
No, she swears it was the most painful thing she ever did. She had twins, and was like, this is the most painful thing that I've ever
had numbing cream
done. No, I didn't numb her. So I told her, I was like, I'll numb you next time, and we can kind of clean it up. But it's so funny what bothers people, because she pointed out one that I never even noticed.
So she has freckles on her whole face.
But she's covered in them. And so, you know, my family grew up going to the beach, and it's something that I just like value tremendously.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
That 1 week with them. But my mom will pack her breakfast, lunch, and dinner and sit out there under the sun. I mean, under the umbrella.
But she'll have her SPF on.
She will. She used to not. I mean, she just had a massive skin cancer taken off her arm. Wow. I mean, I'll have to get her to send the picture. It's big. It's like this long. That she had, I think, a basal cell and the squamous cell in like one area.
Oh my gosh.
They were able to connect it all together, but that's from sun exposure.
Those are from sun. Yes. Those are directly correlated to chronic sun exposure.
And May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah, it is.
So, PSA to everybody is to just wear your sunscreen. Find one that you love and really be committed to it. But
because we're not out here saying that you can't, and like you just said, this 1 week of the year is really something near and dear to your heart. I'm a big summer girly. My favorite holiday besides Christmas is the 4th of July. Go America.
Red, white, and blue.
I'm out there. But I'm also going to protect myself. Also, just for years to come, I know that in 10 years, I will regret wanting to be tan for 2 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Like, I am still going to get some sun, and naturally with my skin color, it's going to form a tan. But it's all about consistency and prevention. And That's usually what we preach. If you could just do that,
I know.
you'll make your life a lot easier.
Should we do something fun at the end?
Let's do it now.
Let's do it now.
Okay. Like this or that?
Yeah. Or F, marry, kill. You have to pick. Okay. So, but let's decide on 3. So you've got sunscreen. This is all about pigment.
Okay.
So sunscreen, a laser, or a
pigment inhibitor?
Let's say, or your skincare routine,
My whole one?
Not the whole one, because sunscreen's going to be separate. You can
What
only
about plated?
Okay, plated.
Sunscreen, plated, or
a laser. F, marry, kill.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm going to marry plated.
Okay.
I'm going to marry plated because they're going to be with me for the long haul. Mm-hmm. What's my other option? Sunscreen or
a laser?
A laser. I'm going to F my sunscreen. Like in a good way, right? We're saying F in a good way.
I mean,
sexual encounter. That's how I feel. Like, okay. And then I'm going to kill a laser. I love, love, love lasers, but I can't go without the other 2.
Yeah.
In my life.
Well, now that makes it hard. I just feel like I changed my mind.
You can agree.
I'm going to marry my sunscreen.
Okay.
Okay. So, because she's my ride or die. I'm going to F a laser because like it's you get in, you get out. Okay?
So you're a one night stand kind of person.
And then I'm going to kill plated.
Whoa.
I know.
Dana and Corey, don't listen to this episode. Well, that's to each their own.
That's right.
If I could also have all 3 for the rest of my life, I would be good. I would be good to go.
Yeah, that's true. I'll take them all.
Well, that is a wrap on all things pigment.
Yeah.
I hope you guys learned how to fix your pigment, how to prevent it, things to look out for, some easy takeaways on how to be consistent with your skincare.
Right.
So
and I think if you feel like you've learned something, like put it in the comments. Tell us something that you really took away from this episode, something that you want to know more about maybe, or maybe like take a look in the mirror and see like if you can distinguish between what's a freckle, what's hyperpigmentation, what maybe wasn't there last year that's creeping up this year.
Yeah.
And reach out to us on how we can help you.